Hi, Patrick.
Hi, Father.
Patrick, your full name is Patrick Ojo.
That's correct,
Yeah,
Father.
that's good. And Patrick, you're part of our finance council, and you are also our lector, and you're also on our parish council. So you're on, main committees there. So tell me a little bit about you.
So my name, like you rightly said, Father, Patrick Ojo, originally from Nigeria, born, raised a Catholic. We moved as a family over to Canada January of 2009. Initially, it was meant to be like a temporary movement. It was office related. My office wanted me to come get some experience here. But then gradually we kind of made it a permanent thing. I arrived with my daughter and my pregnant wife. We landed on a Saturday, and being a Catholic, I went online right away to see what parish is nearby. My office had provided a place for me downtown, and I just realized the Cathedral was like 2 blocks away. And so the following morning, we came as a family for Mass, and it was quite warm, welcoming community, and ever since, we've made it a home, even though now we've moved far from the Cathedral. We're now in the suburb in the deep south, but the children, my family, myself, we've all kind of just fallen in love with the parish, and we continue to make it our home parish.
So when was the first time you were involved as such, actively involved in the parish?
First involvement for me was, like I said, we came in January, middle of winter, pretty cold. And then a few weeks later, Lent, started in February. And then there was the announcement about a choir for Easter. Because the first thing I noticed coming in was that unlike other parishes where I've been, there was no standing choir. And so when I saw the announcement about the choir, being someone who's always loved singing, so I raised my hand and came in for the practice and became involved through the choir. And then that again, gradually, I realized it was an Easter choir and then a Christmas choir, but there was no standing choir every Sunday. So my involvement for a very long time was just in those 2 events, which is the choir. And then of recent, like you said, now I'm involved in a bit more stuff with the finance council, with the lector, and with the parish council.
That's awesome. Now you've been here for so many years in this place, and I'm sure you've had lots of experiences and lots of stories to share. Is there any particular story that you have in mind that you can say, aha, wow, that's amazing?
I think like when we came, the first thing I did notice as well was the absence of kids in the cathedral, which is, I think, speaks to the transient nature of the community we've got, right? Right in the middle of the city, a lot of families with kids are in the suburb. And so I did notice the quietness of the cathedral. Unlike, I grew up, my home parish back home in Nigeria was also a cathedral. So I think there was that connection immediately, it kind of took me back home. But it was very different. The peace, the lack of kids. And so my kids essentially stood out. My first daughter, she was a year-old when we came. And then shortly after, my wife put to bed. And so we had 2 kids. And so we stood out. And I did notice that community. As soon as we come to church, people asking about the kids, wanting to meet them. We did have a family, an elderly couple. Both of them are late now, but they kind of gravitated to us, and the kids gradually started calling them grandma, grandpa. So once we get to church, they rush in, grandma, grandpa. And so I always see heads turn, like, what's the connection here? How can grandma, grandpa? For me, that was touching, the fact that I had a community here that people took, welcomed us so well, such that my kids actually felt like there was family here.
I didn't know about these experiences. This is an interesting story. And so, you see this parish has grown over the course of years, and you've known this parish. Where do you see this parish, let's say, 5 years from now?
To continue to build that feeling of community. It's a little tougher for the cathedral for sure, just due to the location, and more importantly, I think it's just the nature of the cathedral. But we do have a benefit in that really every Catholic within the Diocese of Calgary this is our home parish.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you might have your own local parish in your community, but the cathedral really belongs to us all.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yes, we do have a slightly smaller population, a bit of a transient population. People come in as visitors and then they go, once they settle in, they choose another parish. But I think what I see the cathedral becoming in 5 years' time is that feeling of, being the parish for the diocese. How can we grow that community such that, for example, I talked about us not having a standing choir every Sunday. I'm hoping that in 5 years' time, all that will be fixed. We would have a choir every Sunday, like any other parish. I see us in conjunction with the diocese encouraging people. It doesn't matter where you stay in the city. This is your home parish. You are welcome. You can come in and worship with us. You are a member, right? You may not be on our register, but you are a member by virtue of being a Catholic. We also have a unique situation where I know the Feed the Hungry program, we're really connected with that, even though it's a diocesan program. And I know being in the city center, it's almost like an oasis. For me as a person of faith, I always go back to the fact that the Lord calls us to step away from our activity, go into the desert. I want to see the cathedral playing that role. You're a Catholic, downtown, working. You could take 30 minutes, 1 hour, stop by the cathedral, pray. That's the oasis. That's the place of strength. That's the place of faith for everybody, a welcoming community for all Catholics. That's my vision for the cathedral and what I expect it would be in the future.
Thank you, Patrick. Patrick, you're involved. Your family is involved. Your wife is involved, and your kids are involved, right? I can't wait for the younger one to receive the first Holy Communion, so that she can help us, actively. Now, and you are coming all the way from the south, and people are coming from all over the city, outside the city, in fact. And do you have any message for the people that are sitting in the pews that are not active yet? They're not, like, maybe they're afraid or what have you.
I think my message to everybody would be get involved.
Okay.
Back again, when I was back in Nigeria, I used to be a lector. When we came here, for a very long time, I held myself back because I was worried about my accent. So my wife and I, each time we talk, and then there's an announcement, we need people, and I always never raised my hand. I'm like, I can sing, but I don't know if I want to stand in front of people and read, because they're going to notice I don't have the traditional Canadian accent. But then I think I finally, with the help of God and prayer, I said, you know what? Yeah, it's the diversity that we want. So whatever my accent is, at least it shows the community gathered from all over the world. And so I took that step and then registered to be a lector, which again kind of led into the Parish Finance Council and the Parish Pastoral Council. And so my message to everybody out there, whatever fears we've got, whatever inhibitions we've got, let's not let it hold us back from doing the work of the Lord. Get involved. We want you. The Lord wants you with all our faults, with all our weaknesses. He doesn't care about it. He wants you to bring them to Him, and He will transform the little into the bigger community that we want.
Thank you so much. That's a beautiful message. Don't let the fear hold you back. That's what Patrick is saying, and get involved. This is amazing. So I hope you will be able to hear his message and be involved in our parish. And thank you, Patrick, for coming here and giving your valuable time and giving your testimony here. God bless.
Thank you.
Take care.
Yeah.